second game means a lot more and will mean a lot more in terms of their chances of qualification, with some teams already basically through and some teams out already. So let's begin. I do apologise as well. I was meant to get this done before and releases before today. I was meant to release this on Saturday. However, I was on holiday and couldn't unfortunately get the video done. So I know, as you're going to see this, the third group games, the final group games, will be taking place, but most of them and most of the stuff I say will still be relevant. So we'll start in like group order. So we'll begin with the Group A fixtures, which were here. So now Group A, by the time you see this, would have been wrapped up, but let's talk a little bit about it. So Germany, Hungary, Germany 2, Hungary 0, Jamal Musiala and Ilkay Gundogan with the goals. And see, this is what I was talking about, how the second game is going to kind of show us what teams are made of. I mentioned in my review of the first game that, look, Germany were fantastic, but it's Scotland. How are they going to do against someone else? Was it a case of Scotland being bad and Germany being really good? I'm not too sure. I think having a look at how Germany also dominated this game, we can conclusively say, okay, Germany are a good team. Now again, I'm not going to go too overboard because it is Hungary who are also not a fantastic team. But Germany looked really good. They continued their impressive performances in this game, controlled the game from start to finish and was just absolutely superb. And they are, I do believe they are qualified straight from a group, right? Yeah, they're qualified. Now there is a chance they may not finish top, but it's a very slim chance, and yeah, they're perfectly fine. Jamal Musiala with another goal to make it into, and also joint top goal scorer now in the competition. Hungary, yeah, not good for them. But what I will say is it's a bit unfortunate for Hungary. I don't think Hungary are like a bad team. They're not like awful. It's just they came up against, in their first two games, the two best teams in the group, and unfortunately gave it a good go, but I think they just really lack that sort of star talent. They don't really have any players who can win a game on their own, which is a bit of a problem. Now, they could still go through. That game against Scotland today, as you're watching, that's going to be huge as to what happens in this group. However, it does seem like Hungary are most likely out, and Germany are looking good. I'm really, really intrigued to see though what happens tonight when they face Switzerland. If Germany have put in basically the same performance they did against Scotland, Hungary versus Switzerland, then I think I'm ready to say, okay, Germany are going to be serious contenders here and could go very far. Because Switzerland are a good team. If not, then I have my doubts about Germany. I'm still not ready 100% to say, I think a lot of people are jumping on the Germany bandwagon, and understandably so, they've been great. But right now, I'm not ready to say conclusively they are major contenders. We'll see what happens tonight versus Switzerland. But Germany right now, I can't ask for much more. Let's just see how they do against better opposition. And speaking of a better opposition, Switzerland, Scotland, sorry. I don't know what happened to Google Maps, Google, but they just completely changed the layout of the way they do this, so it's kind of ruined it, but there we go. Scotland 1, Switzerland 1 was the other game here. McTominay and Shaqiri with the goal. Shaqiri were absolute banger, and full credit to Scotland, because I was worried that after such a battering it was going to be hard for them to bounce back, particularly when they have the second best team in this group as well in Switzerland. It's a tough ask, but Scotland did exactly what they needed to not lose, because that gives them a huge opportunity going into this final game versus Hungary. Now they are on 1 point as well. If they can beat Hungary, then they're on 4 points. They're guaranteed pretty much to go through on 4 points through to third place at least. So that's a fantastic result for Scotland, absolutely huge, and it all comes down to this game. Scotland-Hungary is pretty much a shootout for third place and a shootout for a place in the knockouts. Switzerland drop points for Scotland, not ideal. However, I think they were very content with the point, considering that means they're pretty much through now on 4 points. But let's see how they do against Germany tonight. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much else about this because it's pretty much wrapped up by the time you're seeing this, most likely. But let's move on to the Group B games. So Group B, we had Spain versus Italy. Spain versus Italy, which ended Spain 1, Italy 0. Ricardo Euphoric with the own goal. Now this was pretty ironic because Spain absolutely battered Italy and had so many chances, chance after chance after chance. In the end, the person who scored was an own goal. I was like, okay, that's just so typical. Like, it was crazy. However, I was not expecting that performance by Spain. I have to say, you see, I was talking about Germany. Germany looked really good, right? But for me, Spain have been the most impressive and best team so far at this Euros. Not necessarily because they're doing what Germany are doing and just, 2-0, 5-1s and stuff, splashing in the goals. It's because Spain are dominating and putting in brilliant performances, all-round performances, versus high quality opposition. First game against Croatia, 3-0 victory. Fantastic result, fantastic performance. Some people are like, okay, Croatia a little bit washed. There were a couple problems defensively in that game as well. Then they go up against Italy, and they absolutely dominate them. I've not seen Spain dominate Italy. Well, actually, I haven't seen Italy dominated a game like that in a while. Had nothing in this game. Like, they literally offered nothing going forward and got absolutely battered. 20 shots by Spain. It was just, Spain could not finish at all. Nico Williams was superb. Yamal superb. Fabian Ruiz, I mean, this guy, he hasn't done much in the club game for a while since moving to PSG, but boy, he's been performing this year. Everybody in this Spain team was fantastic. But as much as Spain has been so impressive, I really do worry about the goal scoring, because that's both games now where they've been really poor in front of goal and have not been clinical at all. The front line, all of them, everybody in this team has not been clinical in front of goal. And I worry that if this continues throughout the tournament, they might get punished in this, because, as much as they dominated Italy and Italy looked like they were never going to score, being only 1-0, right? And, if Caliafori doesn't do that own goal, it's a draw. Or leaving it at 1-0, all it takes is Italy like a lucky little breakaway and boom, you've drawn the game. So, I've been super impressed with Spain in terms of their performances, but that finishing is worrying me, and I think that could be the thing that holds back Spain. Other than that, for me, they have been the most impressive team at these Euros, and I fully expect them. Their final game is against Albania, and so I fully expect them to get 9 points out of 9. As for Italy, a really bad performance. I was expecting a lot more in that game from Italy. I was fairly impressed versus Albania, but that was awful. As I said, got absolutely battered off and nothing going forward. If it wasn't for Donnarumma, it would have been about 10-0, honestly. And that's concerning, because I think this game showed, as much as Spain were good, I think it showed that, okay, maybe this Italy side are not really ready to compete with these big boys. They did well versus Albania, but when they were put up against against a bigger test. They failed. Now it could have been a case of, okay, it's a little bit too early in the tournament for us to have this big of a test. I understand that, but I think it's going to be a problem, and I don't want to draw too many conclusions here, but I think based on that, I'm not sure if Italy are capable of beating Spain if they come up against them again in the knockouts. Come up against France or Portugal or Germany, I do worry for them. But yeah, maybe they can improve. The other game in this group was Croatia-Albania, which actually turned out to be one of the best games of the tournament. It was 2-2, an absolutely belter of a game, absolutely fantastic. Both teams come back. I mean, Albania, I don't know what it is, but the first 15 minutes of games, these guys turn into like prime Barcelona. Bro, these guys, I don't know what it is with their early goals. Maybe it's the adrenaline just pumping through the veins. But they love an early goal and they start the game well. They did that in this game. And went 1-0 up. Then they chuck it away in the second half. In the space of 4 minutes. And it goes to 2-1. And then in the 95th minute, Croatia chuck it away. I mean, it was absolutely mental, this game. And as a neutral watching, I absolutely loved it. But it was one of those games where, because of the way, the draw works and previous results, both of these teams didn't want this result. They didn't need a draw. Both of these teams wanted a win. Both of these teams could have and probably should have won the game, given the positions both teams were in. And the draw doesn't really do much for them. If anything, I mean, the draw means that probably Albania are most likely out of the tournament now, although they were probably not expecting to come out of their group anyway with their group, so I'll be happy they at least got a point, because if they're going to go through, they have to beat Spain, and as I mentioned, Spain are absolutely thriving. Maybe the fact that Spain have already qualified, they might rest up some players, take their foot off the gas. That could help Albania, but they need a win. They're not going to, even if a draw happens, which would be a good result, that's not going to be enough. So it's not looking good for Albania, although credit to them for giving the fight and really holding their heads up high so far in this tournament. As for Croatia, again, it's not looking good for them after that. If they had held on there, they'll be in a perfect spot, 3 points. Just get like a minimum a draw against Italy and you're through. But now, especially with the bad goal difference, is a must win. They're in the same position as Albania, just on 1 point. If they draw against Italy, they're out. They have to go and beat Italy, which is going to be a tough ask, because although Italy were rubbish against Spain, that was against Spain, who are very good. I fully expect Italy to be much, much better when they face Croatia. So that game, I was already looking forward to it, but boy, the stakes are high on that one. And yeah, that's going to be fantastic. I mean, Croatia, the thing about Croatia is they're not like completely washed like some people are making out. I know things are not going well for them at this Euros, but it's not because like they're a rubbish side. They've actually been pretty decent. The problem is the defence. Defensively, they've been really, really bad, and been cut open too many times. Their attack's actually been decent, like been creating a lot of chances, and overall they're still a solid team. It's just defensively been poor. They can sort that out versus Italy. Maybe they can go through, but yeah, we'll see what happens in that game. They can definitely beat Italy on their day, but it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, but I'm really looking forward to that game. Okay, Group C then. Group C. Let's talk about it. So, Denmark won, England won. Firstly, let me talk about Denmark. Denmark, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Great performance and a fantastic result for them. After the draw versus Slovenia, there was a bit of pressure on them to try and get something from this game, because if they didn't, they'd be in a but a draw might be enough now because of this result. And most importantly, the performance by Denmark is something that's going to give them a lot of confidence because they played absolutely superb. They were really, really good. They created some good chances. They were definitely the better team. They honestly, arguably, you could argue they could have won that game. They were very solid defensively, and of course they're coming up against the best team in this group. To get a point against that, the best team in the group is always a very, very good result, and I think given their performances, they should be perfectly fine and will be okay. But yeah, a really, really good performance by Denmark, who now have 2 draws. They're gonna need. I have confidence that they're gonna win that game versus Serbia based on how good they performed in this game. It looked much, much more like the old Denmark we're used to, the Denmark of the last Euros, rather than the Denmark of the last World Cup. So credit to Denmark. Okay, as for England, I don't know how to play this. I'm tempted to just go full ramp mode, but I'm gonna keep a cool head here. I'm gonna go for that route because I know a lot of my viewers, a lot of my English fans as well, are probably losing their heads right now. So I'm gonna give a bit of composure. It was a rubbish performance, as I said. Denmark were the better side. Denmark arguably should have won that game. We did nothing. That second half in particular was disgraceful, was abysmal. Created nothing in that second half. We did nothing at all. We had no plan, we had no identity. But here's the thing. Firstly, I knew we were not getting 9 points from this. I'm pretty sure I predicted us to draw this game anyway when I did my Euro predictions because I knew we don't get 9 points. And I knew Denmark, they do well against us typically. So it's not necessarily, I said this versus Serbia, it's not necessarily the fact that we drew this game that I'm most mad about. It's not even that the performance was quite poor and a lot of the players were quite poor. The thing I'm most mad about in this game and concerned about for our chances is this man's in-game management, Gareth Southgate's in-game management. Because, quite frankly, his substitutions, his tactical adjustments did not do anything. In fact, they made us worse as a team. And that's the second time it's happened now. In the Serbia game, after we score, he then changes some things, goes a bit more cautious, allows Serbia into the game, and doesn't work. We get the victory in the end, but I said it, I was a bit concerned about how we managed that game. This game, we get the goal kind of similar time. First 20 minutes, not too bad again. Get the goal. Then after that, we start sitting back, allow Denmark into the game, boom, they score. Half time comes, he then, we come out really, really poor, makes changes, brings on Gallagher for Trent. I don't mind you bringing off Trent, but he brings on Gallagher. Gallagher absolutely stinks up the place. Then he decides to take off his entire front three, Kane, Foden, Saka. Now, at the time, I was like, okay, fair play, that's a ballsy decision. But at the end of the day, it can be ballsy, but if it doesn't work, I'm going to call you out. And it didn't work because, no offense to these guys, Watkins, Bowen, Eze, they had their moments, but realistically, those changes did nothing. Those changes did absolutely nothing to change the game. I didn't do anything, and we did not know how to control that game in the second half. We did not know how to push for that second goal, and I also didn't see any urgency in our play to try and push for that goal. So, it's not the fact that we drew the game that I'm mad about. I'll reiterate. It's the in-game management that I'm seeing, which is my problem, because when we go into the knockout stages, we're going to have a problem, because we had this problem at the last Euros. We probably finish top. But as I said, we are not looking good when it comes to in-game management and performances in general. Not good. Right, the other game is Slovenia-Serbia, which was actually a really good game. Slovenia-Serbia ended 1-1. And again, this was another one where, I mean, to be fair, a draw did help Serbia, but a draw didn't necessarily do too much. If anything, it was absolutely heartbreaking for Slovenia. And if you watch my Euro predictions, I tipped Slovenia to do pretty well this tournament. They were, I was pretty optimistic about Slovenia. And the thing is, I think I've actually been right, because Slovenia have been pretty good at this tournament. They put in some really good performances, got a draw versus Serbia and Denmark, which is a pretty good result in both. However, despite all of that, they've just been really unlucky, because it looks like they're not going to qualify from this group. Despite that, because they're on 2 points now, and they're facing England in the last game. A draw maybe might be enough to get them through, maybe. But realistically, they need a win. A draw, they might be able to snatch a draw versus England, but even that is going to be tough. So I feel really bad, because Slovenia have played pretty well in this tournament. I've been pretty impressed with them. But they fell apart right at the end. Euphoric, though, with a clutch goal at the end there. Because if he didn't get that goal, Serbia would be pretty much done. With that goal, that gives them hope now. In their final game versus Denmark, they win that. 4 points, they're through. And also Serbia, in this Slovenia game, to be fair, they definitely deserved that goal. They created a lot of chances, so they can put those away versus Denmark. They should be okay. But this group's actually really interesting now in terms of that second and third spot. Who's coming through there? I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, Group D. So we have first 0-0 draw of the tournament. Netherlands-France. Also, that reminds me, I've got to mention that, by the way, in general, this tournament has been so good. So far, I know we only had 2 match days, but so far they have been fantastic. Goals galore, entertaining matches everywhere, great performances, great shocks, storylines. The fans as well, some of the fans have been absolutely incredible. Like the Romanians, the Albanians, the Turks, the Belgian fans. Honestly, so many have been incredible. Netherlands fans. I love it. I hope it continues for the rest of the tournament. Anyway, first 0-0 draw of the tournament, of course. Kylian Mbappe, the big story, was not playing because of his broken nose. And you can kind of see, you can see the effect, because although France did have quite a few chances, Griezmann in particular, I don't know how he didn't score a goal in this game. France were a little bit lost in the attack. They struggled to create tons of chances and break down the Netherlands that much without Mbappe, which is obvious because he is their X factor. A lot of their play does go through him. But I think a draw was a fair result in this game. But a big talking point was, of course, the controversial disallowed goal by Xavi Simons for the offside of Dumfries. Now, in my opinion, I actually don't see what the controversy is about too much. I thought, when I first saw it, it's kind of a clear offside. Simons has shot it to the right of Mignon, right? Mignon probably wasn't going to save that. But at the end of the day, if you're going to stand, he was about like a metre away from Mignon. Oh, sorry, not even a metre. He was like 10 feet away from Mignon. He was so close to him that if Mignon was actually going to dive to try and save that, he wouldn't be able to. Dumfries would be in the way. So for me, that's why it should have been disallowed. You can't stand in the way of where the keeper could dive. That's offside, in my opinion. So some people might disagree with that, but I personally do believe that it was offside and that was the right call. But yeah, actually meant that our first team of the Euros to be knocked out was confirmed in Poland, who were knocked out after losing 3-1 to Austria, which is so harsh because I actually think Poland have been pretty good. Like, Poland have actually been pretty decent at this tournament, but just unlucky, really unlucky. Defensively in this game, they were really, really poor. They got cut open quite a bit by Austria. This was another fantastic game. Lots of chances for both teams. Both defences were not amazing. Both of them were getting cut open quite a bit, and it was a great game to watch as a neutral. In the end, Austria got the win, and it was thoroughly deserved. Austria, they started their first game off versus France promising, but lacked that sort of cutting edge. In this game, they had it in abundance. They were ruthless, and they definitely could have scored more as well. Every attack they had looked like they were going to score, and this was the Austria performance where a lot of people tipped them to be dark horses before the tournament. I think this was the performance that people who said that were waiting for, because Austria performed really, really well, and yeah, that's them pretty much through. I mean, they probably at one point against Netherlands will secure it, but I think with that 3 points and a decent goal difference, they should be okay. But yeah, unlucky for Poland, as I said. I think their performances have been pretty good, and they definitely don't deserve to be knocked out like this early. But they've just been put in a hard group, so what can you do? Okay, on to Group E now. Honestly, Group E has turned into my favourite group. It has turned into my favourite group. I did not expect this. So we'll start with Romania, Belgium, which ended 2-0. 2-0 today, actually. Another absolutely fantastic game. It was so fun watching this game. So entertaining. End-to-end stuff at points. Chances for both teams. Lots of goals as well. Disallowed goals. Controversies. It had everything. Early goal as well from Tielemans. I absolutely love this game, and the reason I love this group as well is in particular, I'll come on to it, but all 4 teams in this group play such great football, are so entertaining to watch, and we saw it again. Belgium, after a really, really bad loss to Slovakia, they needed to bounce back, and they did it. Credit to them. It wasn't the most convincing at points. Like Romania, as I said, had lots of chances, but Belgium had tons of chances themselves and could have scored more. They got the win in the end. Romania, disappointing because, as I said, they actually had quite a lot of chances. They definitely should have scored at least one, but they couldn't put them away. And then defensively, they were just getting ripped apart by Belgium. I mean, the wingers were causing problems. Luke Bakayoko, Doku, De Bruyne. I singled out De Bruyne a little bit in the Slovakia game for not stepping up for Belgium. I will give him his flowers here though, because credit to him, he stepped up when his team needed him. He delivered a fantastic performance by him and also grabbed a goal. So credit to him. But this just completely opens up the group because now everybody in this group is on 3 points, which is crazy. And speaking of that, Ukraine-Slovakia was the other game where another absolutely mental game. It's so entertaining. Loved watching it. Slovakia took the lead, and the first 12 minutes Slovakia were on fire. They started off so well, and I was thinking, right, Slovakia are going to do what they did to Belgium here. That was not a fluke. Slovakia the real deal. They're about to get 6 points, knock Ukraine out, and send themselves into the knockouts. That's how good they were playing. But then Ukraine started to grow and grow into the game, and then eventually got their equaliser through Shablamenko. And then Roman Yaremchuk in the 80th minute with an absolutely fantastic goal by Yaremchuk. And that has just completely opened up the group as well, because now Ukraine are on 3 points as well. And Slovakia, they were so close. If they had even just got a point, 4 points, there you go. You're probably safe and you should be through. But now losing this, yeah, that's damaging. That is really, really damaging for them. Also, shout out out to the Ukrainian manager because he made a lot of changes to the side after that big defeat to Romania, and they worked. Shaplamenko came in and he scored. Trubin came in for Lunin, of course, after a dismal display versus Romania. A big goal, but Trubin was fantastic and stepped up massively. So, yeah, some big goals by Ukraine manager, and he got them right. And now, as I said, this is crazy. Going into the final day, literally every team is on 3 points. Every single team has the ability to go through, and it's gonna be so sad for whoever finishes in 4th place, because I want to see all of these teams go through. They have been so entertaining, absolutely incredible. But yeah, we have Belgium facing Ukraine, and then Slovakia, Romania. That's going to be nuts. That's going to be absolutely insane, and I can't wait for it. Okay, finally then, Group F. So Portugal faced Turkey, and Portugal won 3-0. Now, after a bit of a dodgy start to the Euros for Portugal, let's go back a bit, because I realised in the last game we never actually spoke about the last game, because I filmed it before. So Portugal won versus Czechia 2-1, coming back in this game with a late 92nd minute winner. But overall their performance was pretty poor. It was pretty lackadaisical at points. They struggled to really break Czechia down. They had a lot of the ball, and it wasn't a fantastic performance by Portugal, to say the least. So off the back of that, they needed a better performance, and we got that. We got that completely with 3 goals, a 3-0 victory, an absolutely superb performance, a dominant performance, and Portugal looked much better in this game. And yeah, they look like they can cause some problems at these Euros, which many people expected them to do. Bernardo Silva, great to see him finally scoring for Portugal and doing well on big stage. I will also say as well, credit to Ronaldo. Ronaldo has impressed me this tournament, because even though he hasn't scored a goal yet, he's actually been playing well despite not scoring, which sometimes, like if he doesn't score, he won't play well. This tournament, both games, he's not scored, but he's actually had a pretty good game, so credit to him and not being selfish and squaring to Bruno. But by the way, what on earth is the Turkey defence? Are absolute calamity here. What on earth is the centre back doing? He was horrible. And yeah, for the third goal as well, they were just all over the place. Really bad for Turkey. Really bad for Turkey. I mean, after a very good display versus Georgia, to lose 3-0 just saps all the confidence out. And you know, even though they're still on 3 points, even though they still have a good chance of going through, this result is just so damaging for the confidence of them. But by the way, again, we didn't talk about it, but Georgia-Turkey, I mean, what a game that was. That felt like a semi-final or something. That was absolutely nuts. And I mean, 2 of the best goals you'll see in this tournament as well. In this game, what a mental game that was. But yeah, I mean, that result for Turkey means that they still have a good chance of going through, but as I said, the confidence just out of them through that Portugal win means that there is a chance that they could be going out, but we'll see. Okay, and then Czechia, Georgia ended 1-1, and again, this is a result where it doesn't do too much for either side. Both teams came into this wanting a win, needing a victory, and they come up with a draw, meaning that, yeah, it's not looking good. I mean, Czechia definitely deserved the victory. I mean, look at that. 27 shots, 12 and 62% possession, but Georgia held on. They got the penalty for the handball as well. Czechia had a goal disallowed through Hlozek. Sorry for that awful pronunciation. And then, you know, in the end, that goal was kind of similar to Spain, actually. They peppered Georgia, but in the end, the goal was just a scrappy goal that hit Schick. So that was pretty funny, but yeah, the result here just doesn't do too much for either, because going into the final game, right, both of these teams are now on 1 point, meaning big pressure on both of them to win. Both of them must win now in order to go through. But if facing Portugal. So they're going to have to beat Portugal to go through, which I don't think they can do. But what I can say is Georgia is similar to Albania. Even if they go out, they can go out with their heads held high because they have put up a massive fight in every single game they've been in and made it super, super competitive and super fun to watch. So, massive shout out to Georgia. Czechia, now to be fair, they do have a chance. They do have a chance. They can beat Turkey. They definitely can, and that's going to be a game to watch for sure. Because if Czechia can win that game, they'll go through. And Turkey, I mean, they probably will still go through, but there's a chance they may not. So that's a game to watch out for. But yeah, that's for review. Right. So if I'm going to say my most impressive team for me is Spain so far. Spain are my most impressive team. I'm still back in France. I think France have still actually looked pretty good. I think France have still looked pretty good. Of course, Germany have looked pretty good as well. Shout outs to Albania and Georgia for their performances, like pound for pound, have been good. And every single team in this group has just been sensational, and I absolutely love this group. All the 4 teams have been so fun to watch. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the second round of fixtures. Of course, we'll do this for the third round. Let me know your thoughts on any of the games in the comments below. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see